Welcome, gather round. New Meta Podcast episode 94, close approaching 100, which I'll probably mention in every single episode until we hit there now. Another thing that I'll mention in every episode is that we're joined by Marco and Adam. Oh my god, they're both immortal. Whoa! Marco, welcome to the pod. How are you doing today? How are you doing this week?
Fantastic. I'm great, thank you.
Amazing. Incredible.
Yeah, so much positivity ready for this episode.
Yeah.
In contrast to last week.
And in contrast to Adam and me, who feel like we might be bringing some anger and some heat to the podcast. Return of Angry Pod. We haven't actually had Angry Pod since EG crashed out of TI. That was the last Angry Pod.
It. I was going to say, what was Angry Pod, but that is it. Oh man, that was so funny. Oh.
Yeah. Alan, welcome to the pods. You're going to bring the yang to Marco's yin with this negative energy to our positive energy. Is that your role today?
Yeah, I'll be the mad guy. Was that Devil's Advocate? I'll be the guy.
Nice. How have you been this week? Anything of note seeping back into your life as viruses and stuff slowly seem to fade? Or I don't want to say anything too soon.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's ramping up here.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the U.S. strategy was we're going to shut down for a month, and then we beat it. Corona's over. Everybody go back to your business. And now everything's spreading like crazy.
Ooh. Yeah, that could be us yet, to be fair. We don't really know, but starting to do a bit more activity, I would say, this side.
Well, I saw a graph with like the EU rip UK. I'll consider you guys part of the EU for the sake of this graph, but it was the US versus the EU, like daily new cases over time, and we all spike, and then you see you guys fall off really heavily. It's like one of those, and how I would describe the graph? It's like an impulse, right? It jumps up and then it starts to go down, and you guys are like about what half the US is, the EU, because the EU and the US are like analogous in size. Not exactly. Like I think there's like about 100 million more people in the EU, but yeah, it's enough of a size of a population to be like. The U.S. is still getting like 30,000 new cases a day, I think. I don't know. It's bad. It's basically bad. You guys have like gone down to half of what we're at, and we're just like sitting at the same. The rolling average, it's like everybody's like, wear a mask? No way. I'm going to, like, I go to Walmart with my mask off. I ain't no baby. That's what I feel like everyone's doing here is like, whoa, I don't want to go. I want to get a haircut. I'm going to go do that. I want to go to a bar. It's like, please stop.
Yeah. Well, in the UK now, you have to wear a mask on public transport. Honestly, sell masks at train stations, because people will forget, and you can just make a mint. I'm sure it's just like guaranteed profit. Get a little pop-up store with masks. Nobody's remembering that. I'm telling you, nobody's remembering to bring their mask onto the train or whatever.
Well, what happens if they show up on the train without a mask?
I don't know. And
get
also,
fined?
Yeah, get fined.
I mean, do they let you on?
Yeah, well, no one on the door, so.
Yeah, a lot of transport. No one's on the door.
Right.
Although, to be honest, I don't know how many people are taking the trains. Probably like hardly anyone, so. And if they are, it's probably not a one-off thing. It's probably a regular thing, in which case they are going to remember a mask. Maybe I've just opted out of my own Dragon's Den there.
Yeah. Dragon's Den. Are you still working from home?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be working from home for a long, long time. Probably until... They told me I was going to be working from home for at least 6 months, and they told me that about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm going to be working from home for time. At least on the current back-to-work plan. It could change. I mean, who knows? But, yeah. It's kind of given me a little bit of freedom. I've been thinking about I could go to people's houses maybe soon at some point and like work from there. Certainly, if I'm going to be working from home from 6 months, in like a couple months time or whatever, I could just go anywhere I want, bring my laptop and I wouldn't even have to take any
leave. It
leave.
doesn't say what home you have to work from. You can work from someone else's home.
Digital nomad. Join Kyle in Kiev.
Digital sports. Digital work.
E-work. We're there.
With a small E, capital W.
Yeah. Always. How have games been, though? Talk about impulse graphs. How have games been? It's an impulse to press the search button. I pressed the ranked solo queue search button today. Remarkable. Something I haven't done for a while. It's interesting. I've actually lived long enough to see myself become the villain. Because back when I first got into Dota podcasts, it used to really annoy me that there'd be people talking about Dota and pubs and stuff. And yet they'd, at the start of the podcast or whatever, they'd be like, it's another week where I haven't played ranked. And it's before this week when I actually managed to get a little bit in. It's been ages since I touched ranked, like 3 weeks or something, 4 weeks. That's just not acceptable. So I did play a ranked game. Oh, by the way, I'm just going straight into how games been, hogging the limelight, rather than going to Marco first, but played a ranked solo queue, went mid, and sort of got a bit of a rude awakening into the why solo ranked isn't as fun as unranked party 5-stack.
Yeah.
Because I pick, first of all, classic. Everyone's piling in on what heroes everyone else should pick, as if they have like 100% hero pool. So that's just a classic pub experience that I've been missing for a while. Our offlane's thinking of picking something, and everyone's like, pick a tank. We need a tank. We already have damage. Just pick a tank. We really need a tank.
Yeah,
so that guarantees the instant Wind Ranger 3 lock. So we get the Wind Ranger 3 lock, and then I have last pick, and I don't see the mid obviously because of the way all pick works. So I just decide I'm going to pick one of my better heroes that I had a good game with recently.
Did you pick TA?
No, that's not one of my better heroes.
Smiley face.
Yeah. I picked Lena, which may be even more triggering for Marco.
No, Lena's solid.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like ancient gaming. It's fine, even if it's not meta. But anyway, I met with a Lycan mid, which is already just grim because it's like, this is Dota now. And it's Veno, Lycan, Drow cores. It's like on the enemy team. It's just grim. It's grim times. Yeah, and we've got a Wind Ranger +3 that doesn't do anything in the game. That was rough. That was a loss. Yeah, that's all I've got to say really. The game itself was pretty boring, not worth going into. Lycan's such a grim hero, and Necrobook is so good. It's unbelievable. Like, there'd be fights where I bought Ghost Scepter second item. I went Yule's Ghost Scepter Travels, which I think was good item choices. But there'd be fights where we're trying to go on Lycan. If you're not paying attention to your hero, the rules and the Necrobook will kill you in about 2 seconds. Even if the main hero is running away, like, I had to use Ghost Scepter on just for creeps hitting me in the fights. Like, it's so insane. And then they just run away with the creeps and then run back. I Lycan's such a sick hero.
And you have no mana.
Yeah, and you got no mana at all. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, there was one point where I go bottom with Yule's reveal. Lycan summoned all this stuff, he's pushing it out. I use the Lycan, and while he's in the air, I get mana burn, so I don't have enough mana to ult with my combo. Even though I went from base with full mana. It's crazy. The mana burns are actually pretty significant. Anyway, that's my ranked solo experience, Flame. Well, I mean, I'd play again. It's pretty fun. I just don't have a lot of time. But, there you are. How have your games been, Marco? You had any good experiences this week?
I guess start, middle, end. Start, Adam can attest to this as well, bit of a grim weekend of ranked, particularly when I get the ranked in. It started off really well, got a win, and the win put me back to my, literally 6 month peak MMR, this win at the start of the weekend. So I was like, shit, one more win off breaking that ceiling that I've had for literally 2020. Lose. I'm back to 1-1. Load into the next game. Okay, I'm sick and tired of this. If I double down and I win, I'll break that ceiling.
Oh dear.
The double down goes south. So now we're effectively 1-3. All right, okay.
What hero was the double down?
Fucking PL. Team pressured me into PL, and that's not my best one. It's just not. It's not even up. It's not top 3.
Where's the Centaur offlane double down?
Yeah, I know. Like, I double down is just the most stupid case. Why am I not Ricky or Centaur? That's when I double down. So I got pressured into PL and didn't play that well, so fair enough. So now I'm 1-3, and then the next day, I think Sunday, I was like, okay, if I win 2 in a row, I'm evens. I proceed to lose 2 in a row, so
oh dear.
It went real south. So that was a bit of a naff weekend of ranked. Then a lot of guild gaming in the week, very good fun. Lots of guild points and challenges ticked off. Just really good fun playing in a 5 with people. And then the last comment on games would be how they all ended a couple days ago with
oh
God. So the day, I mean, I think I play 1 Storm, win that, and then 2 losses on the bounce, a bit rough. Enter the next game, 5 stack again. I'm just looking at my Dota buff, abandoned 0-0-0. I don't know, does Adam know about this one?
Yeah, I heard about that one.
You heard about it.
It's the most Marco thing ever.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad.
Needs a pause. Playing Monkey King. We're feeling really good about the game. We're winning like all our lanes.
Every lane's going well.
Every lane's going well. Marco's like, oh, sec, need pause. Pauses, DC. Then so we're all in game. It's like, Monkey King Taco has disconnected. And then like a second later, Monkey King Taco's abandoned the game. And then Marco's like, oh no! Oh my god! Oh, what? I thought I've abandoned. Oh my, I just tried to quit Dota. I abandoned. Like, oh no. And we're just like, what? Are you serious?
I couldn't believe it. I had no idea what happened. I didn't really know what buttons I pressed. I thought I was pressing disconnect. Do you want to disconnect? Yes. But I guess I pressed leave game. Are you sure you want to leave game? Yes. Just happened in 0.5 seconds, and then before I know it.
They don't ask you for confirmation for the DC.
Yes.
They only ask you confirmation for the game.
Yes, that's the confusion. I just did it too fast. Because I was like, I need to just quickly restart. That was honestly devastating.
Yeah, that's pretty devastating.
And then you guys had to play this shit 4-man game and lose eventually. And then I've got this big ban where I can't search. So I have to go on my alt account, and then I don't get my guild points because I'm not playing on main account and whatnot. Sad times. So yeah, a bit of a mixed one.
Yeah. Adam, anything you have to say for yourself from the past week of Dota?
Marco didn't even say the part from the weekend where he was already 1-3 on Saturday, and he sent me messages, was like, that's it. I'm not playing ranked for the rest of the season. And then I wake up Sunday morning, and what I see on Steam, Marco in solo ranked Dota.
And he's sending Adam a stream of crying messages, being like, what am I doing? I fucking hate this game.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I thought you said you stopped. Yeah,
back in the dumps.
My games, good and bad. I got a Elder Titan win, which was a pretty sick because I got double cavern crawl progress, so that's pretty nice when you can knock out 2 with 1 hero.
Well, that feels good.
Doing my guild contracts. I had some awful games last night, and I know you talked about how good Necrobook is, but that I cannot stand that item. I think everyone thinks it's much better than what it is. I had a game last night where my 3 cores all built Necro 1. I had a Beastmaster middle go Necro 3. I had a Spectre safe lane build Necro, and I had a Techies off lane build Necro. And I honestly just wanted to end it right there. I just wanted to abandon because I was a disruptor, and we just couldn't do anything. It's like, okay, I guess we have 3 people just farming the map with Necros, and I'm just going to sit while the enemy Sven just clears every camp and just gets free. I'm glad we played super slow to where everyone can just build necrobooks, because that's really how we're going to beat this Sven. Not a Radiance on Spectre, I don't know. It was awful. It felt terrible. I'd never seen Techie's necrobook, and I never want to see it ever again.
But you want to see Techie's? Just not
I'm fine with
Necro.
Techie's. It's like Techie's necrobook when we already have 2 necrobooks.
Yeah,
is a little much. And then what was the worst? Well, like even worse was the 3-stack on the other team that included the Sven that we just got dumpstered by. Ended up being on my team in the next game, and then they played like trash, and I lost another game, and that felt really bad. The 9-0 Sven on the other game ends up being a 2-15 Winter Wyvern in my game. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, we've done that before ourselves, where we do this party stack. 5 of us saying we try really hard and we smash it the first game, re-queue, then find ourselves against the same team as last time. We smashed the first game, so we all think, all right, let's pick some meme heroes. The enemy team goes, we fucking sweat this game, and we ended up getting slapped. So
yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah, I mean, both games, I was like a disruptor. Felt like I couldn't do anything the entire game, and then I'm like, you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to pick 4 Clockwork, and you know what? I felt like I couldn't do anything in that entire game too. It's one of those heroes where you're just like, my whole team just wants to farm, and I'm a Clockwork. Like, I can't. Clockwork can't farm. He's like, no one wants to fight. So what do? I guess I just stand around as a robot. That's. I can flare around and see. Yep, they're clear. The Morphling's farming that camp. He's got 1 more item than he did the last time I played him. Like, that's oof. Anyways.
Yeah, that's games then. We've got a fair bit of potential intro topics. The first of which is this sort of drama, complaining, battle pass talk that I feel was just ongoing for so long, and it's kind of expected to an extent. Battle pass season is around, so people feel like, I don't know what people feel like, honestly. That's part of my confusion, but they feel like they're entitled to sets, I guess, just like for free. People have been complaining about wagering. We did the side shop. I feel like that can be mentioned in passing. We don't need to like go into what happened there, but wagering and like spins, what level arcanas and personas are at. People complaining that, you know, you pay for the 100 level and you don't get anything, which is kind of true. Although you do get like immortal, you get all the immortal ones. It's decent. It's not that expensive compared to other games. There are other compendium themes in Fortnite and in Overwatch, maybe. I don't know about that.
Every game has a battle pass now.
Yeah.
Like all those COD Warzone games, like the battle royales. It seems to be like Apex Legends and.
And I think compared to them, what you get for your level 0 or your level 100, you actually get so much. Some of the other ones, I saw like a Fortnite comparison. In Fortnite, there's no arcanas or personas really. There's like the equivalent of immortal treasures, and they're at varying levels. There's a terrain in this one that's pretty easy to get, 160, it's not that high. An announcer pack at 75, it's not bad. Chat wheels, sure, like the chat wheels are super expensive in this one, but so what? You get all the immortal ones if you get a level 100, like I said before. First of all, do you think that this complaining and stuff's like reasonable? What's your assessment of the battle pass now that we've had a little bit of time with it? Do you think that it's any more of a... I was going to say, do you think it's an egregious money grab? But it's like more to the point is like, do you think it should be anything except a money grab? That's kind of like the point of it, right?
Well, it's just like, what else do you expect it to be when nothing in the... I mean, if the game is entirely, like the economy is entirely like cosmetic based, like how else are they going to make money from it? You know, it's like they can't sell you pay to win stuff. So all they can do is just like make you want to spend more money on the cosmetic and have them at higher and higher levels. And I feel like they pack it with more and more content. The only thing that made me mad was that they waffled back and forth on the side shop to where it like screwed me over.
Yeah.
Because I sold out of the side shop, and then they brought it back, and so I lost all my progress. I had like 7 of the blue things banked up, and I rolled those into treasures, immortal treasures, which is fine, but I would have kept them if I'd known. And I already had like recycled like 8 immortals into the new way of doing it, of like you get 4, and then you get another treasure in like a Crystal Maiden reroll or whatever. And if I hadn't done that, that would have been like way more side shop gold. So that's the only reason why I'm sad about it, is because they got rid of the side shop and then they brought it back, but only to give me enough time to like bone myself with it.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of come hand in hand, right? The Valve communication and the Valve's willingness to bend like down to the community and Reddit, it seems, is like an unprecedented level. I mean, even just the patch, right? The Reddit complained about the patch for a while, and then they made a statement about when the patch was coming. And I mean, that's good, right? In theory, it's good. It's good to be communicating with the community so they know when stuff's coming out. But at the same time, it does mean that the community basically, you're never going to be able to satisfy their hunger for complaining about stuff. So they're going to be constantly going back and forth. We saw it with the side shop, which is one of the most hilarious examples in Dota's history of Valve bowing to the community, then bowing the exact opposite way again. And they're just like a mismatch. And then it means that every sort of, I mean, I guess it always just pretty much Reddit, I suppose, but every Reddit thread is just complaining and they know that Valve may well answer their concerns and stuff, because they have so many times. They've done it for wagering, they did it for the side shop, done it for the patch, all of this stuff. Marco, what do you think about this complaints culture, and is Valve's communicating just feeding it, or like how do you see that relationship?
I think any communication is good. With the you mentioned the side shop as an example of this weird back and forth. Maybe I'm just really head under the sand, but I don't remember any Valve communication about changes to the battle pass. I remember they announced something about, we'll make levels a bit easier or something like this to try and appease people. But even then, I remember seeing lots of comments complaining, saying, actually, this is like jack shit. We're not actually really getting much freebies.
There's like 2 different threads where they updated the side shop. It's like removed it, and then they're like, it's still in there. You just have to use a console command. And then I liquidated everything with the console command.
So they did 2 threads.
Yeah, they were like, okay, we got rid of the side shop, but if your stuff's still in there, you can use a console command to get into it and get rid of everything. And I was like away for the weekend, so like, okay, I'll do that. And I do it, and I was mistimed it, because apparently an hour before I did it, they put out another thread. They're like, okay, the side shop's back. You can enable it in the options menu if that's the way you want to be able to liquidate your immortals. And we're giving a one-time roll to everybody that sold their stuff so they can get back everything. Well, I didn't know that. I sold everything after this one-time thing became a thing, so I missed out on it, and I sold all my stuff.
And also, just to add the Valve stuff, that's just for side shop. Those 2 blog posts. They also made one where they changed wagering and made it the same as last year. They changed, which is good,
because that was weird. It was like you can wager 1, 2, or 3 points. It really didn't make a whole lot.
That was confusing.
Yeah, it was so confusing. And also, they added in a loads of these CM blessing spins all over the place, like instead of side shop gold or something. Or no, yeah,
they brought back CM side shop gold, I think.
Yeah, or something confusing. So they just changed a lot of stuff.
I'm gonna be honest. I hate the CM wheel spins.
Yeah, it's so useless. You just get nothing.
I just don't. There's nothing in there that I want, unless the 1 in 100 times you roll some like battle pass levels that are in there now. Never got an Arcana. Not that I would expect to ever get an Arcana, but it's like I don't care about 5-year-old sets. You know what I mean? If they put like portals put more portals on there that you can win or something, because the only thing that's worth using from the I don't know what you call the disco ball, the soccer ball, like is just the portals, because you have a chance to get battle pass levels. So give me some more of those, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think the CM wheel's that bad just to throw in there. They're useless. No. You don't get anything. But
exactly. It's just a throw in. And that's the same thing as the side shop. That was just a throw in.
Yeah.
Like, people, why get mad over something that's like what would we call that? Like 3% of the total battle pass stuff is like this little mini game. It's like trivia. It's like this little extra thing that you do while you're queuing.
Yeah.
And the summer, like the event, I don't know what you call it. Like the, what do you want to call it? Like the summer game mode or the battle pass game mode.
Yeah.
That hasn't even come out yet. So if there's no way of even telling if it's a good or bad battle pass, I think it's fine. I mean, there's people that like compare. I do think they got rid of them, or they lowered the total amount of mortals treasures you can get for going to level 1000 or something. It is a lower amount, but I think going to there's more stuff. And if you compare it to last year's, where like the green versions of old, do you remember those?
Yeah, I was so used to that. Was like such a dead item.
Yeah, there's more personas and arcanas for the same amount of money spent.
Yeah.
I guess people want to get there without spending money, but I just don't think they were ever meant to be grindable in that type of way.
Yeah, I agree. I was listening to some people saying how they should be able to get everything if they play. Like, if I play every day and I buy a level 0, and I should be able to get all the arcanas and personas, or at least like half of them, just by playing every day. And it's like,
no,
I don't understand where that comes from. This is Valve. This is a product. This is like the premier product. They're obviously going to make it so they can make as much money as possible. It's so, I know on some level, yes, you want to have a good relationship with your community or whatever, but this isn't like a handout. This is their primary Dota product each year. It's a free game. It's incredible how much work they put in to it. I mean, they put in a lot of work into the battle pass because that's how they make their money, but of course they're going to make it so everyone's like baited into buying this level 100. They grind it up to like whatever, let's say level 200. Say you can maybe grind 100 levels. I think that's reasonable. So then you're really close to this Pudge Arcana or Persona or whatever. So you might put a little bit more money into that. Suddenly, or maybe you get there from grinding. I don't know how the numbers work. Then suddenly you're really close to this Anti-Mage. Then suddenly you're really close to this Rave King. Then suddenly you're really close to this Quap, etc. So it's like they make it as easy as possible for you to spend money for, like, you know.
Just need to put in another $10 to get...
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
That's to be expected. You can't... You know the game you're playing. It's not like they're going to just put Quap Arcana at level 100 and be like, yeah, just buy the level 100 and you get Quap Arcana. What? I don't understand. Yeah. You've got to think about it from Valve's perspective. Why on earth would they do that? Loads of people are saying, you should get one Persona or Arcana with level 100. But I just don't... If Valve can sell level 100... I could see
that, maybe. I could see that.
Yeah, but then again, it's like, Valve aren't struggling to sell level 100 battle passes. Just looking at my friends list, their battle levels, they're not struggling to get level 100 sales.
How much was the 100? Was it 50?
No, it was like 35 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
For pounds, I guess like $45 or something. But they're not struggling to buy that level 100 because they get that level 100 purely off the back of Battle Pass release day hype. That's exactly. It. And so they don't need to put anything on 0 to 100 to get those sales. It's all very like calculated. There's a reason why the bond. I don't know. I just think it's
economists. They have it worked out. They know
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, they know how to do it. And
yeah,
it's funny. I feel like we come across as big Valve fanboys or like defenders, but it's like there's so many other more valid complaints with the game.
Yeah.
And the community than the Battle Pass. I feel like the Battle Pass is actually pretty well done.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, like it was wonky when you could bet 1, 2, or 3 things. I think it makes more sense the way it is now. There was no need to like redo that. But if you want to like complain about Dota Plus or something,
Yeah,
or like
That's true.
how it hasn't been patched in a while, or how there are like a lot of bugs that need to be fixed still. Don't complain about the battle pass. There's like it's not that greedy of a grab. I feel like
I think there's ways like the anecdote you gave about that person saying, "Oh, I play thousands of hours of Dota, and therefore I'm entitled to buy a £5 battle pass and get like all the arcanas, which are like these super luxury goods." And it's like if you're playing like 1,000 hours of Dota and you value an hour of Dota at £1, then it's like, okay, you've just got £1,000 of value for nothing. And now you say you've bought a £5 battle pass and you're entitled to 5 arcanas, which are like high luxury, sick, amazing goods. Like, what is the rationale? It's so stupid.
Dota 2 is not Hearthstone. Like, you can't just. The game is already free to play. You can't just like grind up currency in the same way that you can in that type of game. Where you like you can either buy everything or grind it with your time. It's like you're getting all of your time or all of your money. It just doesn't work the same way in the Dota economy. I feel like they're going to get all your money. Like that's
We should move on because we don't want to just be the classic Dota community of like counter flaming the flame, like contributing to the endless back.
Well, we're not calling anyone dumb. It's just the other side.
No. It's like, more just that I don't know. It's more like what else could you expect other than Valve to make it so they're going to make the most amount of profit from their battle pass?
How are you surprised at that? Firstly, and then secondly, the battle pass is on par with any other battle pass with all the goods involved, and it's great and it's good fun. And there's a few tiny little extra trinkets around. Then there's the big slap on of we've got loads of new arcanas and personas. So if you're willing to put money into the game of Dota, you're going to get luxurious rewards, and a lot of them. End of conversation. I think it's very good.
And every year they want to exploit you wanting to spend more and more money, right? To where they actually pack it with more and more stuff. Like you can't even like 2 years ago, if you told me there was going to be 3 arcanas and 2 personas, I'd be like, what's a persona first off? Because that wasn't even it. Like even last year you got 1 persona and then 1 arcana, right? You got the Earthshaker. Was Earthshaker last year and then Invoker persona?
There was some tiny thing as well.
And then there was
like
an
eminence item as well.
And there was like a tiny item. Now it's like I don't even care. Like honestly, all I like the battle pass for is like the arcanas and the like the cool ultra rare immortal items, right? And if they pack it full of more of that stuff, I don't even and the cavern crawl. Like, that's all I need. And honestly, I feel like they blew it out of the park because the guild has been so much fun. So,
true. Guild has been amazing.
Yeah, and that's here to stay. I think that will stay after Battle Pass. That's like ranked roles. You know, they did it with Battle Pass and then it became a permanent. I think it will be the same for guilds, or they'd be silly to not do that. Yeah, and I mean the Battle Pass for Wales, of course it is. That's how Valve are going to make their money. They're not going to market it towards catering to people that want to spend, $0 to $10. They're going to market it towards people that might spend a lot. Anyway.
What's the highest? Well, okay. Last thing. What's the highest level you've seen in game so far?
Ooh, highest level I've seen in game. I think 1,300. So enough to get the voice lines at 1,200. I think that's what I've seen.
Yeah, I think I have someone on my friends list at that. I think the highest I've seen in game is 4,000 on the other team.
Jesus.
And they like, they have basically an unlimited, what do you want to call that? The extra percentage wagering thing. So it always feels good when you win those games where they're like, oh, if they win, they're going to get like 5 levels from this game. But if we win, they don't get 5 levels. It's not that you get anything. It's like they don't get 5 levels. I think 4,000 is the highest I've seen in game. And then I saw a screenshot of somebody with 40,000.
Yeah, 45,000, Level 45,000. Apparently like a Saudi prince, apparently.
Oh, I've heard of him. Yeah.
That's pretty fun. Moving on then, let's spend a little bit of time, not too much, but a little bit on patch. So we know the patch is coming in like a week, right? Do we have any
I think it was maybe 2 weeks at the longest.
Yeah, they said 2 weeks about half a week ago.
Yeah, so like 10 days, but it could be later,
Okay, maybe should we save this one for next episode? patch expectations?
Well, no, they said, okay, what did they say specifically? They said the first patch is going to be items and economy, and then heroes later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do we want to talk about? What we think that's going to be, or?
Yeah, we could. Let's do it. Let's maybe do it next episode. We're already at 35 minutes.
Yeah, the Necro book is getting changed. We'll go that. We'll say that. That's getting changed.
Yeah, that much we can. That's off teaser for next episode's intro segment is Necrobook's being changed. Main topic of the day then: how to not throw, or the art of throwing. An art that I've mastered over many years playing Dota 2. And we're going to try and unravel that and turn back the clock to when I wasn't such a master of throwing Dota 2 games. Marco, first of all, when it comes to throwing, what do you think of? What comes to mind? What's like the classic throw? We've got some written down. Is there a most common throw for you?
For me personally,
well, sure, yeah, for you personally, but also in the Dota verse.
I think there are the more general common ones like I say overextending, and I think that's quite broad. You can apply that to a lot of situations. I think for me personally, overextending is semi up there, like a semi throw when it's, you're a bit tempo, but you're a bit too tempo and you're getting a bit too ahead of yourself. So I start going a bit too deep and aggressive, maybe knock on the tier 4s, and it's like, okay, in hindsight, maybe that's not necessary. That's a throw because that's an overextension.
Winty Eye doing that.
But you're Winty Eye doing that if everyone's on the same page, so it's not my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the main, most common one is overextending, like not respecting your opponents enough. And therefore, that's the whole phrase, isn't it? You're throwing the lead away and just literally just handing it over to the enemy team and saying, actually, you guys can go win instead.
Yeah. Also, a classic overextension is not understanding why you're so strong. So the classic example would be having some kind of skirmish that looks like it's going well. Like, chase them, and then you chase like up a ramp into no vision and just get wrecked. Because you don't understand like the conditions of the battle that made it so favourable for you to begin with. And that doesn't mean that you can just run blindly up a ramp into the unknown, I think that's like a classic overextension throw. Are there any quick remedies to this overextending? Is it just as simple as like constantly being cognizant of your strengths, or is it more just like take a chill pill?
Yes, I think realistically, the most common kind of throw is not one where you're 20k ahead and throw it away. It's more the one where you're in this 5 to 10k gold XP lead and you're snowballing your advantage and you are on the path to victory and the conditions are all set and you just need to play the game right. But then I think what commonly happens when some team has you could say minor advantage like this, even if it is 10k, which is kind of substantial, is I think they knock on the door too soon. And so they might try and take that big fight or that big high ground siege, or maybe even that rush, that big objective a bit too early. And I think the remedy to that, and just generally, I think a really good remedy to securing wins is just choking the game out more and being patient. I think patience overlooked. I think when I feel it in parties quite a bit, and I imagine it will happen in lots of games where teams aren't patient enough and they might get a kill or even a couple kills, big kills, or win a fight. Ooh, great, 5 dead heroes. And then they think, okay, we've got to take a big objective. We just got this great outcome. We've got to take a great objective on the back of it. And then I feel like what can happen often, maybe you wipe the enemy team, get all the way to the tier 3, do 20%, 50%, 80%, even 100% damage, kill it. But then the enemy team respawns. Best case scenario, you get out 5 alive. Great. But then even in that best case scenario, what's happened in the rest of the game? Lanes aren't pushed. You've not farmed. You've not got more XP. You've not got map control. You've not got wards out. You've not got lanes pushed for vision. You've not got control of the rush.
You've just had positions like 3, 4, and 5 watching your 1 and 2 hit a tower for like a while. And if they're not
Yeah,
there,
it's like
then
we have to be here, or else you'll get gone on.
And then that's you force your team to be there, and actually you're not playing optimally. You could have maybe got another tier 2. So I think patience is that even if you get this big team wipe or big couple kills, you don't have to transition it into the game-winning play. I think if you get this big outcome, just solidify your win. No, if you want to win the game, like, it doesn't hurt to take your time. It doesn't hurt to just squeeze and choke the enemy and just snowball to a 30k lead before you start trying to get the throne down. I know I've played in games, and I know I've played in party games where you do think you're that strong enough to make that kind of final kill of the game or that big Rax push or rush fight, and actually you should have just slowly kept your lead going. And I think when I watch pro games, pro streams, they're amazing at this. I've been watching a lot of The Hawk. I think he's Nip, the carry player. He'll do it all the time. They'll win these big fights. They could even be like fairly high, not fairly high up the map, but they'll win big fights, get lots of kills. But he's TPing back to his own tier 3 to then farm and push the wave, amass like 2k goals from all that creeps, get the lanes back into a favorable spot, get his next item, and then he's like, hey, now I've got the condition of next time we win a team fight, we get racks, as opposed to the team fight prior, where they actually maybe get a tier 3 or 1 racks, but don't get all the map advantage and farm and XP that they could have otherwise. So I think patience is a really big one for just basically not throwing those little leads that you gain.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think patience is you can still play fast and be playing patient, if that makes sense. And there's a difference between choking someone out and like going back to your woods and farming it.
Yes.
And letting them get back out of their map. That is not the same thing. And there's not playing patient and playing slow per se is not like, oh, okay, let's go back to our woods and farm very safely. It's like, no, we'll farm in their woods and set up vision around them. And if anyone ever dares venture come out, we get a pick, and that leads into another tower. It's not like okay, we'll call an armistice for 5 minutes and let them farm up their next item, and then we'll lose a Roche fight and then lose the game. Like, that's not that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, and just to make this noob friendly, as the noob, tier 3s aren't even good anymore because you can't even take shrines off the back of them. So if you're at like a tentative, like, oh, should we go high ground? Maybe we can get a tier 3. Maybe we can't. It should be even more tilted into the let's not do that, let's be patient category than it was pre this recent patch, where since they took away shrines, it's not even that strong to get a tier 3 anymore.
I don't even feel like getting a tier 3 until you get all the tier 2s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it almost doesn't even feel worth. And it's like when there was that patch where you could start killing shrines after you taken all the tier 2s. Wasn't that a shrine? Wasn't that a patch? It's like you had to get all the tier 2s and then you get the shrine. And then they made it you had to get a tier 3 and you could get shrines. Because it was just too easy to get all the tier 2s. I feel like you need to go back to getting the tier 2s, and that allows you to get the map control. Because then once you finally do take the fight that lets you get the first tier 3 in racks, you'd actually do it in the 2 racks. You know?
Yeah, and also just the general point is tier 2s are arguably more important than taking a tier 3. Like you could argue.
Let you get out on the map because there are no shrines.
Yeah, if there's no way you're getting racks with the push, it's like, we might be able to get this tier 3 to 80% or 80% HP off, or kill it maybe, or we can take a tier 2 guaranteed. It's like, you definitely take the tier 2 guaranteed, because also you're not guaranteed to get out of a tier 3 push situation, whereas you're much more likely to get out of a tier 2 push situation. So it's just less risky anyway. Also, just to make another sort of noob-friendly point, if you've got a team a lineup that scales better than the other team, or just a lineup that doesn't mind farming, say you've got, I don't know, a Spectre or like a PL or something that's like relatively unanswered, then you don't need to abandon that win route, if you know what I mean. You don't need to suddenly we're a little bit ahead, like, let's force the issue. that's even more of a reason to just chill and be patient, because even if in the worst case scenario you're a bit too patient and you come back onto your side of the map a bit too much, you're still winning like the game, because you're relatively happy to like trade farm. So it's not even that much of a throw. Whereas if you've got, whereas the alternative of pushing a tier 3 with like a Spectre, or like really forcing objectives with a Spectre after winning these team fights, it's like, or PL or whatever, it's just, that's so bad for your lineup. It's like at the start of the game, you're just thinking, let's out farm them. Just because you win a team fight unexpectedly in the mid game doesn't mean you suddenly abandon that and you think, actually, let's go for the jugular here. When you have a lineup that's happy to farm, then you should be happy to farm like more aggressively, sure, and in the right areas, sure, but be patient. Don't abandon what you identified as how to win the game at the beginning.
Yeah, I like the point that would you rather a tier 3 go down or a tier 2? Hands down, tier 2. The TP point I think Adam made, you choke the enemy so hard if they can't.
I mean, there are outposts, but like
you're going to control
losing
them.
tier 2, exactly. If you're losing tier 2s, you're not going to have an outpost. So.
Yeah,
and they can't even contest if they don't have tier 2s. If they know if they're like, oh, they're taking our outpost.
Yeah, how do you stop it?
You can't even. You've got nowhere to TP to. What are you going to do?
They're going to
TP to your racks
onto it, and then as you're taking it, and then they come in one by one and just die.
Yeah.
Honestly, a really sensible list to have in your mind is the list of objectives. Like at the bottom, the final objective is kill the enemy throne. But before that, there's going to be, I mean, obviously you have to kill tier 4s, you have to kill tier 3s, etc. But the list really should be, before you ever even try taking a tier 3, all tier 2s should be down. And in my eyes, before you even bother taking a tier 3, unless it's a really clear opportunity, you should have a rush under your belt. There's no reason not to hit those criteria before you go high ground. No reason at all.
It is so hard to push high ground now with tier 3s giving regen and armor in the AoE, with you having to go high ground, with repair kit being in the game, with glyph multi-shot being in the game.
The tankier, you have less gold, it's double whammy everywhere.
It is so hard to take the tier 3, and then it's like what we said is you don't get nearly enough off of it to where the tier 3 and back, it's really not even worth the amount of jungle farm and wave farm that you can like clear from the enemy, to where it's like, okay, this is like the penultimate move we have to make now, is killing this final building before we can finally win the game.
I think often as well, you'll be in a situation where you can, or maybe your team thinks you can, really butt your head against the tier 3 wall, and with enough sustain and enough scrapping, maybe like, suppose you eventually were able to take 1 racks after loads of like really scrappy skirmishes, the enemy team's like desperately trying to defend, and you're butting your head there for like 2 minutes, and eventually you get, let's say, 1 racks. Okay, you might think of that as a win, and yeah, we were strong enough and able enough to take that objective, but what you've lost, and not only is it a risky play, like you're playing in this risky push of the enemy could just wipe you and that push turns into all your team dead because they use a couple of buybacks, or like that's not the case, but even then, what do you miss? Like Adam says, all that farm on the map, all the jungle creep, all the ancient creep, all the creeps in the lanes, the towers that might be on the map elsewhere, just it's so much safer and just a better bet to snowball your XP gold lead rather than run into some risky, scrappy, inefficient skirmish that might end up with a tier 3 or a Rax. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, and people have in their mind when it comes to heroes and lineups, they have a strange conception of how you can win. Like they'd have a strange thing in their mind where it's like, oh man, we've got Beastmaster and Lycan and Necro, say, oh, we really have to win, by 20 minutes, so let's just like force a high ground, even though we haven't even taken tier 1 and 2 in the top lane. It's like, you're more likely to win 30 minutes into a game with a 20k gold lead than you are 20 minutes into a game when it's neck and neck on gold. So it's like you still take the tier 1 and tier 2s in all the lanes before you go high ground, even when you have like the most push intensive lineup ever.
Yeah, or a
it's
10
just
minute,
get the gold lead.
or a 20-minute. Keep saying it wrong. 20 minutes with a 10k goal lead. It's like what you said. 30 with 20k goal lead is much easier to win than 10-minute. I can't even say my point. Yikes!
20 minutes with a 10k.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't have to be even.
Yeah,
it's like. Thank you. If there's probably just leave that in. That was a struggle. The gold is more important than time. But yeah, 20k is much easier than 10k. So just like take all the buildings, and that is a lineup that can break high ground. The Lycan Beastmaster with multiple necros and stuff. But you don't even have to. Like those heroes are great late game. Like Lycan is amazing. Late game, he does so much damage now, and permanent like wolf form. It's not even like how it is. Where we got to finish it by 25 or else we lose. It's like no, you actually scale pretty well, especially with the the Beastmaster aura around you. You can be slower.
And even on heroes that don't, quote unquote don't scale that well, they do if you're 20k up.
Exactly.
People can't get. I mean, I'll count myself in
this
as
has
well.
Another item. It's like so easy.
Yeah, they can't get past heroes' kits. They can't get past like their ideas of when heroes are good and bad. It's the classic thing we've said a million times. Oh my god, anti-mage is free farmed for 15 minutes. It's over. It's like, no, that's not how heroes work. Like, gold and XP is exceptionally important, and it's easy to just ignore those things. It doesn't matter. Take for example, I mean, this is kind of a strange example, but TI in, I can't remember what game it was, game 2 of TI finals, where OG have this super early game aggressive lineup, and, Nigma have this like late game wombo combo lineup. At the end of the game, when OG are pushing high ground and winning the game, they're like 20k up. And by that point, Nigma have all of their core items, but it doesn't matter because OG are like 2 items ahead of them. So they have BKB, Black Hole, and Enigma. They have like Ravage and some core items on Tide, the Blink and stuff. They have TA with Deso, Blink, and BKB. It doesn't matter because the other team is so much further ahead. It's not like suddenly, oh my god, if we don't go high ground now on our push lineup, this whatever, I don't know, the TA might finish their Deso. It's like, yeah, even if they do finish their Deso, or even if Anti-Mage does finish his Manta Battle Fury, we're going to finish 2 items by the time they've finished 1. If we take the game a little bit slower, take all the other towers, farm on their side of the map, take Roche, and then go. Yeah, they are going to have some more items, but we're going to have even more. You know, I don't know. I really feel like that point is worth hammering home. The patience, no matter what, even if you have a lineup where you're in your mind, oh my goodness, we have to win by 20. It's like, that's such a deception, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also, from a support point of view, it can be really hard to support your team in a high ground push, especially when your cores have mobility items. And generally what happens is how you lose a high ground push, you lose the game, your core jumps ahead. It's really hard for your support to go high ground. So like your net worth is cut in half that's in the fight because it's just your core that's gone in like Rambo. And then the support waddles into the high ground. Your core goes out, like let's say Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage blinks in. Okay, gotta go help the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage blinks out, and then your supports get slaughtered because they're on the high ground now. Or your support tanks a million tower shots trying to get to the tier 4s where you've dived, and you lose. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's like that's another thing that can lose you the game.
It's just hard to fight around high ground, right? I mean, it's much easier for the defending team. That's like the point. Yeah. So it's not like if you win a fight in the river, it doesn't mean you'll win the same fight at the enemy high ground when they all respawn. Like, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah, that's generally how I feel like I lose. Might not even be like it's the ones that sting the most, the ones you remember the most, is when you were in a good position. And it's always the tier 4s. Diving the tier 4s. It's like, what does it? I feel the ones I remember the most.
Yeah. Let me move it on and pose Marco a question. Marco, you mentioned Roche. Roshan, the big fat creep in the pit. Obviously, he's part of the checklist, and it's something that you should go for before you go high ground in almost all cases. But to flip it on its head a bit, I don't know about you, but I also feel like trying to take Roshan when you can't, or not taking Roshan when you can, are both throwy things. Do you err one way there? Do you feel like you'd be encouraging people to fly into Rosh only when they have like hero advantages? Because it's quite a dangerous thing to do. I know we've both been in games where unsuccessfully Rosh and it's kind of been a throw.
Yeah, so I definitely agree that they are two kind of throwy situations. The first one about, you try and Rosh and it's a bit difficult, that's a bit more understandable because sometimes you might not really understand how well or strong your Rosh kill ability is. I don't think it's crazy throw to try the Rosh and it not quite... Well, I guess there's different degrees. Like, do you try the Rosh for 10 seconds and realize you can't do it and then abandon? Or there could be the scenario where you try and do Rosh, you're actually a bit weak and it takes you really long to do, and then that baits you into this like team wipe because it took you too long. That's an unfortunate situation. I don't really want to call that throwy because in my mind it's you really do want to be getting Rosh, so it's good that you're trying, and it's kind of just a bit more unfortunate that you didn't have the manpower or the speed to kill it in time and then you get team wipes. But also I think that's quite uncommon. I think more commonly for throws is the second scenario you gave where you overlook Rosh or a team overlooks Rosh. I think that is the bigger throw and the more common situation. Like I said, I think Rosh is near critical to get before a tier 3 push. You want to have that 90% of games. In so many games, the Aegis on your 1 or 2 is everything you need for you to be able to roll a team fight, win a team fight, take racks. It's all you give them the Aegis, and they've now got the ability to be really aggressive on the map, put the neck on the line, tank closer spells and ultimates. The power of Aegis is just probably overlooked, and so people don't think we really need to get Rosh. And I know there's been games, and we've been in them recently, where you will have windows as the winning team. You will have windows in pubs to shove a creep wave and get right into the Rosh pit and get the Rosh. And pubs will miss those windows. And I think missing those windows is one of the biggest ways to throw, because you had the opportunity to take the Rosh, had the window, you had the means because you're all strong enough. But because you didn't, that next team fight comes around, you're not quite strong enough to smash it. The enemy team can get back into it, and we just get this negative snowball. So I'd really emphasize that Rosh needs to be on your radar, and you need to be like really thinking about when and can we get it. All right, we need to push our creeps really aggressively. All right, we now see 3 of the enemy team having to deal with these really pushed creep waves. All right, we've got a window for Rosh. We dive right there, get the ASAP, kill it ASAP, get that Aegis. Okay, we're now ready and set to take that next objective or take that next big team fight.
To offer a couple of more noob-friendly points, to talk about the other side of my proposition, which is taking Rosh when you can't. I don't know what you think about this, but I would say certainly if you are taking Rosh, there's nothing wrong with trying to take Rosh. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're found out and if the enemies know about it and it suddenly becomes a bit like, oh, this is dangerous now, like what should we do? I would always, again, err on the side of patience there and don't give the enemies like a free... You can't lose a team fight in that situation, so just get out of Rosh and just like reset. There's so many times where either 1 or 2 heroes stay trying to hit Rosh while this like weird half team fight happens, or there's some Ravage and suddenly it's like a free Ravage on like 4 heroes because they know they're all around the Rosh pit. You lose because then it's confounded by the fact that when you lose that fight, they just go and steal Rosh.
That's painful.
So there's nothing wrong with trying Rosh, like we've said, but I guess I don't know if you'd call it disagree, but I would definitely say it's a massive throw if you let yourself be wiped when you're ahead because you take a Rosh when you can't. Like, if you know the enemies know you're there, I would always say don't try and finish it because that's just a recipe to like a disaster.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Take a fight,
5v5
nothing.
sneak a roche. You definitely want to do that while we have people dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can 5v5 sneak a roche, but as soon as you're pretty sure they know you're there, don't try and... It's not a sneak anymore. Then it's just like running 5 people into roche under a ward, and it's just... You definitely don't want to do that. So just be really cognizant of whether or not they know. And if they do know, and roche is at like 50%, 40%, sometimes even 30%, obviously depends how strong your roching are. It doesn't matter if roche is 50%. Still get out. Like, still get out.
To be fair,
I
think the scenario you give is more common when you are behind, and it's this semi-desperation / comeback play of let's try and get a roche, even though the window might not exist, or it might be really greedy to get it.
I don't think so. I think when I imagine it, it's you've won a fight. You've got a tier. The classic, like you win a fight mid or something, or anywhere. You get a tower out of it. Like we get bottom tier 2, and then you're on such a high that rather than like resetting, farming, pushing waves, choking, getting aggressive vision down, you just think, oh, run roche, like tier 2 and then run roche. So the enemies respawn. You take tier 2, fine. Then the enemies start respawning, and suddenly it's a 5v5 situation again. And taking a fight when you've got 3 heroes in a roche pit, as sitting ducks, to me, that's quite similar to just trying to go high ground where you've got 3 heroes in a tower at like sitting ducks.
Especially if you don't have the Vlads and everyone's low from the slams and like...
Yeah, it just means, it's kind of like what you were saying with what we've been saying about high ground. Just be patient. You're ahead a bit, so keep doing what you're doing. Then when you get a more clear-cut opportunity, then get roche.
Yeah, that definitely is a misjudgment. My final point would be that I think that scenario is less common. So in terms of all the throwy, fail, shitty pub plays, I think that's much less common than the other you said about people not rushing. I think it's just because it sticks in your mind, these rush fails. Yeah. I think they stick in your mind more than the rushes that you didn't do, because why would you remember that?
Yeah. That's definitely true. There's always going to be, every single game of Dota, there's going to be a time where a team could have taken roche and didn't, probably.
Yeah, I think the 1 and 2 position really dictate that, because they naturally are the rush killers, and the best at 1 and 2, position 1 and 2s, will be more ruthless and with rushes, and they will be more dictating those windows that they can get it, etc.
One more roche point, actually, I wasn't intending to make, but it just reminded me. In some of the games we played recently, we've been talking about itemizing for roche, like get a Vlad's because we need roche, or like get a solar crest or a medallion or whatever because we need roche. And that's like a kind of an interesting point. It follows on from what we were saying earlier about being patient and understanding how you win the game. You win the game not necessarily by forcing high ground. You win the game by taking roche, so you should itemize for that, right? I mean, it makes sense, but people don't do it. No one itemizes for roche. It's really rare, at least in the MMR that I play in. But it's really valuable. Roche is on the checklist before, going high ground, so it's better to itemize for roche than for going high ground, Get that Vlad's, get that crest, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, honestly, Vlad's is the biggest, most obvious rush item, because it's really cheap as well, and that literally can just enable your whole team to take it and not die.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. I mean, we're at like 1 hour already. I don't know if we want to talk about anything else. Do you have any other throw sort of rants or points to make? Maybe not full-on discussions, but any other things you want to touch on?
I would say there's a couple of art of throws that occur quite a bit less common than the going high ground too early or not rushing when you should be. More minor ones like what if I got down the targeting, and I guess that's more execution, a bit more micro rather than like the macro gameplay. And even item choices, again, a bit more micro level. When you get to these kind of, is it common if you're ahead? I think so. I think you can be ahead and throw by just mis-executing a fight, and you could easily be ahead and you think you can just easily win a fight, but you don't appreciate the actual strength of the enemy team, or you don't appreciate the way the enemy team can come back, and suppose you this really farmed pos 2 on the winning team and do some weird overcommittal for a random like deep support or the tanky offlaner and blow all your kits and then get caught out, and then all of a sudden you're dead and the enemy team now have this advantage and your snowball gets stopped, and it all came from misexecution. I mean, it's a bit of a harder point to make because it's more just like your own skill at the game, knowing who to target, knowing how to not screw up a fight. So a bit hard one to go into. The other one I also had in mind was item choices. I think you can throw games by not itemizing correct. The classic is not getting a BKB can literally win or lose you games. I think generally poor itemization can be a big factor into why you can't close a game out or why the enemy team can get back into the game, because you've just got suboptimal items. And so that's kind of easily avoided.
Yeah, on the mistargeting stuff and just not executing correctly, one that I think of is, like you said, not respecting the enemies and like not respecting how good a fight can be for them if they get it on their terms. There's been plenty of games I've been in where you might win 4 fights in a row. You're going high ground, and the reason you've won those 4 fights in a row is because they didn't get the initiation that they wanted.
Yeah.
So if you're just sitting high ground, or you're sitting in vision, or whatever it may be, or you go on the wrong hero, suddenly you don't respect them. Like, that's why you're putting yourself in that position, right? You're putting yourself high ground, or you're jumping on a hero because you don't respect the enemies. You think you're stronger than them. If they then get a fight on their terms with some like wombo combo or something, you're going to get wiped. So you always need to be thinking about, yes, we might have won 4 fights in a row, but it's because the Enigma never got Black Hole off, or it's because this or because of that. So like, you need to respect the enemies always. Like, always give them the respect they, I don't know about deserve, but they warrant, certainly.
Yeah, it pays off to be that overly cautious or that overly respectful. Like, you mentioned these big wombo combos, that typically will be the means a team that's behind can trip you up, and like a Monkey King ult, and you fight into it even though you're 20k ahead and you could easily lose still, or there's a spec haunt, you don't respect it and you don't disengage and it all goes really badly, or just lots of ultimates. If you don't respect it enough, you could end up throwing because you're a bit too high on all your previous wins.
Adam, do you have any thoughts on like those throw things that we pointed out, or any other throwy stuff you want to say?
No, I think that pretty much covers everything. I say it's not necessarily a throw because you're never really ahead, but if you go the bad item builds, you kind of throw the game for your team, such as triple Necro Book.
Yeah. Were you ever ahead, though?
No, that game was over.
Yeah.
From the beginning, as soon as everyone finished their Necro 1s.
You had techies, though. That's a classic throw. Run into those mines.
Yeah.
My last comment, I think a difficult one to execute, and we kind of have classified it as a throw, the missing a spike. And I think, say, if you've got an early game lineup or a lineup where the enemy team, if it is dragged out late because of really specific drafts, they will be really advantageous. And even if you have a gold lead on your certain heroes, like this late game spec of theirs or really fat TB will just be undealable and you will not be able to battle that. I think missing those power spikes of your team when you are more early mid-game focused is kind of throwy, but it's kind of hard to execute as well.
It's also difficult to talk about that one because that sort of goes against what we've been saying earlier. Because you in most cases you want to be patient, but in some cases, it's like what Adam was saying. There's a difference between being patient and playing slow. Yeah. So I guess that would come in when you're discussing this one. You still, if you've got a spike, you want to still be using it. You don't just want to be like farming either team on each side of their river if you're stronger than them. That's kind of throwy. Yeah.
So that's kind of applicable everywhere. Patience doesn't mean slowness. Patience just means farming the map, pushing the lanes.
Right then. That's episode 94.
Flame Corner?
Flame Corner? I thought that was Adam's Necro Book 1, right?
Or was it the Necro Book?
That was my personal Flame Corner, but you can obviously...
Did you have one, Stan?
No.
Oh, I thought you both had one.
My flaminess was just playing ranked solo and getting Lycan mid on the enemy team. And playing a turbo where I knew in advance I was going to play Weaver, and then I had to lane against Night Stalker and just had to play against Night Stalker, which was annoying because, Weaver.
Do you want to shout out?
Crippling Fear lasts so long. I'm sure I've said that about 100 times on the podcast. Crippling Fear lasts so long. It's insane. That spell is insane. And especially with the new Immortal item, it's so weird. Night Stalker. I do not want to see that hero come back. I do not want to see Night Stalker come back.
You mean that hero that's as fast as Weaver and Sakuchi just naturally at nighttime?
Yeah.
Oh, that was another thing. I was in my Clockwork game with a Haste Rune, 550, and a Wind Ranger with Ags was like 750 move speed and caught up to me. I was like, what? This should be illegal. Like, I'm fast. I am haste now.
Yeah. Oh god, move speed is so triggering sometimes. In this game, we had a Venomancer that would Gale the Night Stalker, and the Night Stalker would still be faster than all our heroes, with Gale on him. So annoying. Stop. Sorry, Marco. Did you have a?
I was going to say we should shout out the fact that guild challenges, all 4 have been completed with 3 days to spare. How phenomenal. Well done, everybody in the guild.
Yeah, as long as the ancient one doesn't show up, we're good.
Yeah. Maybe shout out the most guild pointers as well.
Do you want to do that? I've quit Dota.
You can't do that as well because you butcher everyone's name.
Also because you're so low on the leaderboard.
Yeah, where is Stan?
Whoa. Chill, bro. I tried to win with my contracts and failed.
Stan's a mighty 30. He's close to the Cull relegation zone.
I need to get top 25, actually. I have to get top 25.
So riding high number 1 is Aesthetics. Big shout out to him. Followed by Enkidu. I played with Enkidu. Did a legendary dock. That was pretty cool. Played quite a bit with Aesthetics. He's riding the guild pointers strong. And then it's actually our Belgian boy Dynamic in 3rd, followed by the infamous / famous Tornavi at 4, and then Adam at 5.
Very good. Congratulations to all of our top 5.
Yeah, top 5. Pretty strong.
Big battle coming up. But yeah, that's episode 94. Join us again next week where we'll be talking, amongst other things, about some patch expectations, perhaps. Maybe not the whole episode, but for a while. Until then, have a final whistle and stay safe out there. Stay away from those wolves. Stay away from those necro books.